just keep this. We'll make this an intimate time. We don't have a ton. It's got a between lunch and happy hour is a tough spot, so we'll make it worth your while, hopefully. But for those not familiar, Vobile, we are a technology company in the entertainment industry, and so our clients, we do all things large movies and music, and all right, there we go. We are the global leader in IP protection and monetization in the entertainment industry. And when I say IP protection and I say content, I'm talking about movies, music, and our main focus is around technology to serve the movie studios and the large labels. Our traditional business is around a technology. We use fingerprinting and watermarking. We have patented technologies going back to 2005 when we began. In our traditional core business, we'll take assets, and we have some examples on the line up on the screen, whether it's live sports or it's a traditional movie, and we will help the studios prepare that content for distribution, and we'll encode it with different watermarking and fingerprinting technologies that we're able to audit its use and provide that data back to our clients. Looking at a little bit of a timeline, we began in 2005. We went public on the Hong Kong Exchange in late 2018, and we have expanded to basically take in other companies over time to round out our abilities and our technologies for doing the work we do. If we look at who our clients are, they're virtually every one of the major movie houses that y'all will be familiar with. Our first client being Disney, which we began work with in 2010. We have since gone on to, everybody's familiar with Amazon and their purchase of MGM. We continue to service a lot of the original content created through Amazon and Netflix as well. A lot of our work we do outside of our traditional core business has to do with servicing our clients as their content is being used on social media platforms. And one of the biggest growing areas of our business has to do working with helping them identify content used on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and so forth within the U.S. and also on platforms outside the U.S. And we are continuing to build out our services and provide monetization and protection for them in those areas. Looking past our current core businesses, a lot of and the reason I'm here today is I focus with Vobile on doing research in areas around AI and how it's affecting our clients. And we have an office in Gainesville, Florida that's there for the purpose of doing research projects with the College of Engineering and Computer Science there around this subject. And one of the biggest disruptive things that y'all can imagine would happen in the music industry has been the whole, the progression of generative AI. And if for anybody who's even remotely been near a computer, you're seeing examples of it now where people are having fun, taking pictures and able to do things that a few years ago weren't even possible. But we're in the middle of a huge sea change of disruption for our clients. And some of the examples that we hear of now, like Sora, and we have a few up here on the screen. Google has one. There's Nano Banana. There's Midjourney. I was playing with one earlier this week. Grok has a new one called Imagine. All of these are foretelling of an amazing power that the studios are having to deal with in terms of their traditions of union organized and the way that they present and produce their content, all that's being challenged. But one of the biggest challenges that we're faced with, or they're asking us to tackle, isn't just around the fact that you can generate content more cheaply and maybe easier or differently than we did before, but it's the reality that all of their legacy content is being used without their permission to train a lot of the foundation models that are coming out now. And what's happening in that space is the players that are working, and you're seeing it not just with film and music, but we've seen some big situations in terms of written literature, where you have some very big lawsuits and settlements that are beginning to happen, and there's a tsunami of legal activity that's going on now in this space around the very subject of there are the business models for these foundation models like ChatGPT and many of the other ones, is they're basically, instead of asking for permission, they're basically plowing forward and using whatever reasoning they have to go ahead and take content and use it to train their models, and then those models are then able to generate new content that have been laundered of any attribution. And most of the entire industry currently, their revenue model is based on licensing and permission, and this is creating a potential for a huge disruption that is it's really already here. And probably the time frame when we'll begin to see actual long form entertainment that is done with a large percentage of AI. It's already being done in terms of production and post-production, but where you'll see actual full works created on demand will not be that far away, probably less than a few years.
I like that. Laundered attribution. Did you guys make that up? I've never heard it. That's why I brought it up.
Well, it's a metaphor, and we're a private group here. No, it's something that I talk on this a lot. I talk with a lot of people, and you try to find ways to communicate it that people can connect with, but it's probably more of a euphemism that comes from my Tennessee background.
Appropriate description is what I was getting.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think one of the areas that I want to promote about Vobile is we have a kind of a reality with the studios of that they are very concerned and very resistant to AI. But that reality is producing probably the next few years, probably one of the most litigious times we're going to see for them that they've ever seen before. Our position in that is we are there to serve our clients, and we have every one of the studios are our clients. We're going to do a great job. We're complying with everything they want, but knowing that the battle, and I come from the music industry, and so I've been here before, I've seen this before. I've got a t-shirt when, the labels resisted, streaming and downloading to a point where it broke their back, and now look where we're at. Well, we're in that same place with the movie industry and AI. And what's going to happen is we're going to have a great time of disruption, but long term, probably it'll be more than 5 years from now, there'll be a time where they will come to an agreed format and a place of participating in a tokenized future where they will be able to serve and work with these foundation models. And but they're going to fight tooth and nail until that time comes. And we have a two-pronged strategy, if you will. Part of what I work on is the long-term solution and what that could look like and what that should look like. But short-term is difficult as it is for our clients. it has made a good business for Vobile. Because with the use of AI tools and this ability to create video and different types of content, you have creatives able to tell stories easier. They don't have to be as gifted a content creator as you may have had to be 5 years ago, or you don't have to have an experience with a lot of post-production or filming, or you're able to tell a story on YouTube. It's getting easier and easier, and with that, there's a lot more assets the studios are asking us to go and audit to try to find a solution for them. And so whether it's short term during this time of disruption or long term, it's creating more work for us. And we believe that the long-term solution is going to be our position currently, because we're a world leader in this area, and virtually all the major studios are our clients. We're in a position to really provide not only a solution, but leadership in coming to an agreed standard where we'll be able to provide this type of whether it's going to be a fully tokenized future, but it's going to be one in which they're able to participate, and we can't forecast what their revenue model will be in the future. We know what they do now, and you can imagine that if you invested $300 million in a film, it goes to theater, it goes to streaming, it ends up, going all the way down to lunchboxes and Legos at the end. And that's what they've been used to forever. Well, it may not be that. But I'm not going to say what it is going to be, but whatever that future is, there will be a business, and it will be one where it will ultimately be driven by consumers probably using their AI assistant to cook up a movie for them that they want to watch tonight. And the studios will have an active part of helping provide that, whether it's the inspiration for AI to then provide a movie to you, or some other way it's going to happen. But we're going to be part of that, building that ecosystem with the entertainment industry to do it, and do it responsibly. And this war of attribution is what we call it behind the scenes. The war to maintain the attribution for the basis of content creators to own or have credit for their work is really at the source of what we're trying to build AI responsibly around. In terms of the story of our company, you can easily go and look. As I mentioned, we're on the Hong Kong Exchange. We have gone to great lengths. We have a great story about our profitability. There's been a lot of dynamics. We have a lot of questions often about, why don't y'all come to U.S.? You're U.S. based. We were founded in the U.S. Why are you on the Hong Kong Exchange? And one of the realities that I can tell the story from our CEO, we both met in college when I was at the University of Florida 30 years ago. And we both I came up through music, and he through video. It's now all come together. But one of the things his dream is to be able to provide the services we provided in the U.S. to China and to Asia. And because of China's appetite at the time, there really was not a market for copyright protection until really almost 2020. And when they began to have content, one, that they were creating that was of value, and the ability to have a legal remedy to defend your copyright became feasible. And with that, we made a decision, and he made a decision to go and be on the Hong Kong Exchange. Was an intentional act to win business in China. And to date, since that time, now half our revenue comes from our work in China. and serving clients there, as well as our traditional clients here in the U.S. I mentioned our CEO is Yangbin Wang. We have an office here in Florida at Gainesville to specifically do research projects with the University of Florida. For those familiar, UF is a leading academic institute in the field of AI. Chris Malachowski is a friend of Yangbin from Silicon Valley, that both were graduates from the EE program there at the University of Florida. And we are leveraging that and have an office, regional office there now focused on this research. And I think with that, I'm gonna pause, and I know we don't have much time, and let just any questions.
So who are you involved with for tokenization? Because ultimately, the world will be tokenized on every single access point. There'll be a fee derived from a user. And how you get compensated will be going through a platform and use of it. So are you working with any provider of those platforms? And I'm thinking of JP Morgan and people like that, with Tether and Bitcoin mining and all those background micro tokenization payments.
Yeah. So we are developing our own, and when you get into tokens, you can go, let's just start with like household names. You can go to, say, Grok with Elon, or you can go to OpenAI. You go to, and you begin to look at their tokenization strategy, and they actually will differ between each one a little bit. But you're right, it is the foundation currency by which you're going to be participating, no matter how they bundle it, ultimately you're paying in and out, right? So what we are doing is, with that, we are building our own platform, and I share the name now, but it's called Max. It's not available to the public, where it's going to be focused on content creators being able to tokenize their content and provide a market for exchange. And it's going to be ultimately suitable not just for the big studios, it's going to be suitable for everyone. And we're we've been in the business of standards, but for creating a tokenization strategy that will involve certifying that content and having that certification recognized as a standard for ownership. And we've been working on this, and we're continuing to work on that alongside, not just content that's created through, but having AI generated content to then be certified.
Can you involve somebody like Getty Images with that as one of your
You
clients?
literally could do many things like that. It depends on the market for it. It depends on the ability, the way it's consumed. One of the things that you have to look at this is, right now Getty Images is a great example, but you have, how is content consumed now? We go to YouTube, we look something up. Well, in 5 years, you may not even go to YouTube. Now,
whoever it is, it's got to be transmitted to you.
Yeah, so your AI assistant will recommend, and you'll be provided, it may come from YouTube, but you don't know, but it's going to be, but that content, that's what's going to happen, and it's going to be, the issue, say we build the perfect mousetrap, is getting the studios and the big dollar content creators and the foundation models to participate.
Well, they don't have a choice.
That's
They
right.
have to, if they want to get paid.
That's right.
Could you talk more about, outside of AI, with going to your existing services with protection and monetization, how does pricing look like for your customers, and is there room to grow your individual accounts?
Yes, there is. So in terms of pricing, we have core services we provide, but one of the areas that we grow in is that out of that service, originally it's just a data service. So we're helping them prepare their content for distribution, and then we are able to then provide data back to them for how it's consumed.
5 minutes remaining, 5 minutes.
Thank you. The licensing and the rules and how they do that, usually our biggest competition is actually their own legal departments. But then over time, due to volume, they will often outsource back to us for services related to remediation. So that's where we see growth, is that we begin to have different services that, oh, you can do this. Well, why don't you take over our claims on YouTube? Then it starts there. Then it goes into, well, you guys do so much with YouTube. Can you manage our channel for MGM? And then we start doing all their trailers. And then now the biggest growing area is now we do content creation for the studios, building all their sizzle reels and trailers to begin to use it on their channel. Now we manage their channel. Now we create their content. Now we have an in-house agency. The other big area is around digital marketing for the new movie coming out, that we now do ad buys and social media marketing for them in an agency format for them, because we already do these things. And so even though there's a finite universe of these studios, the amount of work we do for them, and then there's a whole new wrinkle of opportunity. It's challenging, but you're seeing a lot of consolidations in this industry. So sometimes we have 2-3 studios consolidating, and they're already clients of ours. Now we either, sometimes in cases, we begin to do work for the other ones that we didn't do because we're doing it for this one. Or, sometimes we want us to cut costs to provide like a volume discount, but it's an interesting time. But there's a lot of work, and there's a lot more work we can do for them. And some of it we're able to then, because of the volume, automate and provide efficiencies that we can do at even a lower cost, and so forth.
How much does the average client pay for a service like Disney, for example, versus an HBO or anyone? I'm just curious what an annual billing contract is. $1 million, $500,000, $2 million?
So that's a great question. Catherine is with me here from our investment relations team, and can you give a figure in terms of like an average studio?
So in terms of our paying customers, our customer who contribute over 10% of revenue from public disclosure are 2 customers. But the biggest one is actually YouTube platform, because we are representing a lot of customers to reclaim the work on YouTube. And the second is actually Warner Brothers. Because starting in 2024, they give us total of their content library, so we are representing them to manage all the content libraries on YouTube and Facebook. But other than that, it's quite very limited. I would say, ranging for $500,000 to a couple million, different sizes. Even working with Disney, sometimes we don't build them as a Disney company because they have many different branches.
A lot of channels.
Yes.
No, I'm just trying to understand how much a company that's creating all that massive amount of content will invest in protecting that content as it gets distributed down the channels and out into the pipeline, so that at every user that's paying an annual or monthly fee to YouTube, like YouTube TV, how much of that ultimately comes back to the producers of that content for verification, for reimbursement, for protection?
Yeah.
Just to get a sense of the size.
With more than 6,000 small and micro-cap companies listed, if you're looking for the next Apple, then ChannelCheck truly is your tree. It's an investor community where you can access independent Wall Street research, advanced market data, balanced news, corporate videos, and podcasts. You can even register to attend in-person Meet the Management Series lunches, and to be part of the preeminent annual Small and Microcap Investor Conference, NobleCon. And here's the best news. Since ChannelCheck is sponsored by the featured companies, premium membership requires no investment. It's absolutely free. So check it out. Log in today. Find out why ChannelCheck is North America's leading source of research on the companies that just may change the world.